Hello again. For years, the idea of so-called chemtrails has been dismissed as the craziest of conspiracy theories. Why on earth would governments want to send up aeroplanes to spray toxic substances out and cause clouds to become thicker and prevent the sunlight getting through? What a loopy idea to subscribe to. It just shows how gullible folk can be on the internet that they would even consider something like that to be a real thing. The British government has now announced quite casually that they are planning to do that very thing. A little-known government body called the Advanced Research and Invention Agency is to spend £50 million sending up aeroplanes into the sky to spray sulphur particles around, which will stop sunlight from reaching the Earth. In other words, they are proposing to do precisely what all those supposedly nutty conspiracy theorists have been talking about for years. I need hardly say that the rationale behind this dangerous scheme is that it will help us to tackle global warming. If we can spray enough sulphur into the upper atmosphere, then we shall have clouds of polluted matter drifting through the sky, off which the sunlight might be reflected and bounced back into outer space. Maybe. Of course, older viewers will remember a time when particles of various sulfates suspended in the air to be breathed in by the people below was known as pollution, and it was thought to be a very bad thing indeed. The aim of the Clean Air Act, passed after the great smog over London in the 1950s, was to deal with this very problem, that is to say, particles of sulfates which hung in the air over the capital, causing lung diseases such as bronchitis, and also, of course, blocking out the sunlight. This was caused by all the coal fires that used to be burning in London. The intention now is to recreate those same conditions as a remedy for climate change. Never mind the fact that sunlight is vital for our bodies to produce vitamin D, and that it was all those sulfates in the air which caused the deficiency disease rickets in British cities in the past. In 1950s London, there was in November an average of 38 hours of sunshine. Today, there are around 70 hours of sunshine in London in November. This is because the Clean Air Act stopped all that pollution, and the increased sunlight meant more vitamin D being made, and rickets became a thing of the past. If we now start pumping sulphur into the atmosphere again, then the reduced sunlight will mean children will not be able to make as much vitamin D in their bodies, which would be catastrophic. I hope that viewers do not imagine that I am making up such an insane idea. I give a couple of links to news items about the business in the description to this video. I really hope that somebody puts a stop to this experiment, because the consequences will inevitably be poorer health for people in Britain, specifically a rise in respiratory problems and an increase in cases of rickets in children. I know about rickets, for I had it as a child and it caused me to become a hunchback, and it was all the smoky atmosphere that caused it. It stopped sunlight coming through, so that children like me in the East End couldn't get enough sunlight on our bodies and therefore didn't make enough vitamin D. Imagine some government minister sitting down and deciding to reverse the effects of the Clean Air Act by deliberately polluting the atmosphere by injecting sulphur into the air. One really could not, as they say, make this up.